Good morning. You are welcome to iTech Media Ghana. In our lesson today, we are going to discuss the 5 generations of computers. When we talk about generation of computers, we can say that generation of computers is a change in technology. A computer is or was being used. So the focus is on the change in technology. So the evolution of computers started from the 16th century. And each generation has a unique technology used in developing the computers. So the focus is on the change in technology. Initially, the term generation was used to distinguish between varying hardware technologies. So we are talking about change in technology, but initially it was only on hardware. But now the concentration is on both hardware and software. So the technology includes both hardware and software, which together make up an entire computer system. So for now, we focus on both hardware and software instead of hardware only. Now, let us look at what hardware is. We can say that it is the physical equipment required to create, use, manipulate, and store electric data. Hardware is the physical equipment required to create, use, manipulate, and store electric data. And examples are monitors, mouse, keyboard, joystick, etc. Software. This consists of all the electric instructions that tell the computer how to perform a task. We can also say that software is a series of codes or instructions that tells the computer how to perform a task. These generations are often characterized by improvement in processing power, speed, storage capacity, and size. So with the evolution of computer or the generation of computers, we can say that the generations are often characterized by the improvement in processing power. The second one is speed. The third one is storage capacity as well as size. First generation of computers. So this evolution is in the 1943 to 1958. Or we can say that in the 1940s and then the 1950s. And it is the first electronic digital computers developed. Now, with this generation, the main defining feature was the use of vacuum tubes for circuitry and magnetic drums for memory. So the main technology used in developing the computers under first generation is vacuum tubes. So vacuum tubes were used to develop the computers under first generation. And it is between 1943 to 1958. Let us look at the features of first generation. The usage of vacuum tubes. The computers were big and clumsy. High electricity consumption. Larger air conditioners were needed. Lot of component failure occurred. So all these are the features of first generation of computers. Use of vacuum tubes, big and clumsy, high electricity consumption, larger air conditioners were needed, and then the last but not the least is lot of component failure occurred. Examples of the first generation of computers. So we have the universal automatic computer. That's the UNIVAC. We have electronic numerical integrator and calculator. That is the ENIAC. We have IBM 701 and then IBM 650. All these are examples of the first generation computers. So this is an example. We can see that in the picture that the computers were big and clumsy, occupying a lot of space. So we can also say that it required a lot of space to install. And then the use of vacuum tubes. Second generation of computers. This evolution is from 1959 to 1964. So this evolution or the era saw the replacement of vacuum tubes with transistors. So with this generation, the main technology used over here is transistors instead of vacuum tubes. This era or revolution saw the replacement of vacuum tubes with transistors. The transistors used were smaller, more reliable, and consumed less power. So we can say that instead of magnetic drums, magnetic cores were used as primary memory. So if you look at the differences between the first generation and then the second generation, you can say that for the first generation, vacuum tubes were used. But with the second generation, transistors were used. So these were the main technologies used in developing the computers. Now, in first generation, magnetic drums were used as a primary memory. But with the second generation, magnetic cores were used as primary memory. So these are the differences between the first generation and then the second generation. Examples of the second generation computers. IBM 1620, IBM 7094, CDC 1604, CDC 3600, UNIVAC 1108. All these are examples of second generation computers. Let us look at the features of the second generation. 1. Transistors were used. 2. Core memory was developed. that is the magnetic core. 3. Faster than first generation computers. 4. Magnetic tapes and disks were used. Smaller in size. And then the last but not the least, produced less heat and consumed less electricity. So all these are also the features of second generation computers. Third generation computers. This evolution of computers or era is between 1965 to 1970. In this evolution or era, the development of integrated circuits marked the third generation. They used integrated circuits to develop the computers in this generation. So integrated circuit is the main technology used to develop the computers. These integrated circuits contained thousands of transistors and other electronic components on a single chip. So with the first generation of computers, they used vacuum tubes as the main technology. For the second generation, transistors were used. And then with the third generation, integrated circuits were used. So these were the main technologies used to develop the computers under these generations. Examples of the third generation computers. We have IBM 370, PDP-11, IBM System, Univac 1108, Honeywell 6000. We have the DEC series and ICL 2900. All these are examples of third generation computers. Let us look at the features. 1. We saw that integrated circuits were developed. So integrated circuit developed. Power consumption was low as compared to first and second. Small-scale integration and medium-scale integration technology was used. High-level languages were used to develop the computers. So these are some of the features of the third generation. So we can see the example in the picture. Let us take our time to examine the picture very well. The fourth generation computers. So to remind ourselves of the technologies used, we said that in the first generation, vacuum tubes were used. Second generation, transistors were used. In the third generation, integrated circuit were used. So we are talking about the change in technologies. So with the change in technologies, vacuum tubes mark the first generation, transistors second generation, integrated circuit third generation. And when you come to the fourth generation, microprocessors were developed to replace the transistors, the integrated circuit, and then the vacuum tubes. So the development of microprocessors led to the creation of powerful and affordable personal computers. Graphical user interface, allowing for more user-friendly interactions, were also developed. So in this generation, we can see another feature, graphical user interface. Now, when we talk about graphical user interface, we are talking about the visual way a computer user can interact with the computer using graphical components like icons, buttons, and then menus. So with the fourth generation, we can see that the development of the computers led to the development of a graphical user interface based computer system, allowing the user to interact with the computer system. Examples. We have IBM 4341. We have the DEC 10. We have star 1000. And then we have the POP 11. So all these are examples of the fourth generation computers. Let us discuss the features. So one, we can say that large-scale integrated circuit, and then very large-scale integrated circuit were used. These are technologies: large-scale integrated circuit and very large-scale integrated circuits. So these technologies were used. Then, development of portable computers. 3. Use in virtual reality, multimedia, and then simulation. 4. Use for data communication. So all these are features of the fourth generation. So these are examples. Let's move to the fifth generation. That is the present and beyond. So we normally call the fifth generation artificial intelligence. Fifth generation is characterized by the development of artificial intelligence and advanced programming languages. So in this generation, the development of artificial intelligence and advanced programming languages were used as the main technology. Now, let us remind ourselves of the technologies used in each generation before we move on. We said that in the first generation, vacuum tubes were used. In the second generation, transistors were used. Under the third generation, we saw the usage of integrated circuits. Then, in the fourth generation, we saw the development of microprocessors. So we learned that large-scale integrated circuits and very large-scale integrated circuits were used as the microprocessors. Now, in the fifth generation, instead of vacuum tubes, transistors, integrated circuits, and microprocessors, artificial intelligence and advanced programming languages are being used here. Now, the focus is on the development of computer systems that are capable of solving complex problems through logic and reasoning, as well as learning. So it is clear that in this generation, the focus is on the development of computer systems that are capable of solving complex problems through logic, reasoning, and then learning. So the computers under this generation solve complex problems through logic, reasoning, and learning. Examples: we have the Param 1000. We have Intel P4, IBM laptops, notebooks, and PCs of Pentium. So all these are examples of computers under fifth generation. Features of the computers under fifth generation. So one, we can say that more reliable. So the computers were more reliable, or the computers will be more reliable. 2, works faster. 3, easily portable. The next is in different sizes. Then, in different features. And then, in different affordable prices. The next is extra high processing speed. Then, parallel processing. And then it is wireless as well. So these are the features of the computers under fifth generation. A quick reminder of what we just learned. We saw that the development of computers, or the evolution of computers, started from the 16th century and has resulted in the form that we see today. The present-day computer, however, has also undergone rapid changes during the last 50 years. So we saw the usage of different technologies. Now we also saw that this period during which the evolution of the computers took place can be divided into 5 distinct phases based on the type of switching circuit known as generations of computers. So we have the first generation, which is from 19 to 1956. Or you can say that between the 1940s and then the 1950s. For the second generation, it is between the 1950s and then the 1960s. Then, for the third generation, it is from or between 1960s and then 1970s. So we can see that for the fourth generation, it started on 1971 to the present time. So to summarize everything we learned today under generation of computers, the evolution of computers started from the 16th century and has resulted in the form that we see today. Under each generation, different technologies were used. We saw that under first generation, vacuum tubes were used to develop the computers. Under second generation, transistors were used. Under third generation, integrated circuits were used. Under fourth generation, microprocessors were used. Then, for the last generation, which is the fifth generation, we saw the usage of artificial intelligence. So the picture over here summarizes everything. Conclusion. Each generation has contributed to the evolution of computing technology, leading to the development of faster and more powerful and more efficient systems that have transformed the way we live and work.
No kwase mo adu bia meja yi anto aya para adu bia meja yi manto hallelujah meja dubi ei adu bia meja yi adofunu adu bia ye no kura we die no kwase mo adu bia meja yi anto aya para adu bia meja yi manto hallelujah meja dubi ei adu bia meja yi adofunu adu bia ye no kura we die no kwase mo adu bia meja yi anto aya para adu bia meja yi manto hallelujah meja Yeah, no, could I be there?